Okay, I decided that I was going to make a series of videos that just show that the command line is sometimes faster and easier to use than a GUI tool, and sometimes it's possible to do things on the command line you simply can't do very well on the GUI on any given GUI. Now, this video I'm using as the GUI because I'm doing some file stuff. Thunar, which is a fairly common uh, I think it's using XFCE for common GUI file manager. Uh, but yours might have other features. It might have easier features. I can't really go through every single GUI variation, um, but I can pretty effectively go through your common experience with command line because it's pretty much the same everywhere. Um, First off, just so that people know what my environment is, NeoFetch here is a command line utility, which will just show what my computer is. I have 3 monitors. The one that I'm running on is the third one. I'm using ZSH instead of Bash and ZSH 5.9. And the terminal I'm using is Kitty. That's just so that if you want to duplicate exactly what I see, I also have some plugins and I use OhmyZSH. Some people don't like it. I like it. Just so that people know the environment I'm in. So, what's the trick that? Oh, motivation. First off, how did I make all the files? All the files that I'm about to work with are actually just empty files. And the command that I used to do it was this right here. So for I in 1 to 1,000 do touch file $i.wave. I did them for waves and for MP4s and JPEGs and GIFs, just so that I'd have an assortment of files to preview um, or to try out in this video. The motivation for me doing this is simple. I was on they call it. Yeah, there's a guy that does this video series called DistroTube. Some of you guys might know who he is. He made a comment about the command line, and I chimed in and said, you know what? Even whenever something's easier on the command line than with a graphical user interface, that I knew developers would basically go through hoops to use the GUI instead of using the command line, even when the command line just happens to be easier for that. One of the respondents came back and was not very happy with me. Said it was total BS. He'd been using Linux for tens of years or decades, and that what I said just wasn't true. Well, that's not really fair because my experience might be different than his experience, and I responded to him. I tried to be charitable in the response, but I realized that may be the perception of many people that was total BS of what I said, and I can give some simple examples as to why it's not BS. It's just simply true. The simplest example for me is just copying files. Um, First off, I don't know what the audience will be for this. Maybe you've never used the command line at all. But let's just do a simple copy file, and I'll just do it here. Right now, I've got 2 directories in this directory, which is Chris Fair demo. I made a little directory over here. If I want to make a file, I can make a file like this. I just touch a file and I'll say my file.txt. Okay, so you can see it showed up over there in the GUI too. Now, if I want to move that file, I just go move my file.txt to another file.txt. So I just moved it. And if I want to copy it, I just go another file.txt, and I'm going to copy it to another. Now, I do have to give it a different name. It doesn't do that automatically. So I'll have to do txt. Now I have another file called txt. If I remove all those files, I just do that. So I just wanted to show you the basic command that I was about to use, which is copy. It's shortened to CP because we don't like to type a lot on the command line. A lot of people think that we're big typing freaks, but the truth is we try to type as little as possible when we're on the command line. And a lot of times we do we do type very, very little. Because a lot of times they're repeated commands, and we've got a couple features for that allow us to do that pretty easily. One's reverse lookup. So, for example, if I'm in here and I want to type in, and I should be in the right format, but if I go in and I type in CP, it's going to pull up the last time I used CP. If I hit this again, then it's going to show me the last time I did these other commands. So oftentimes I do what's known as reverse lookup just to get the last one. And oftentimes in command lines, you just hit the up arrow and you get the last command. So there's lots of features that allow you to do things without having to type things over and over again. And you'd be surprised at how often you just do the same thing over and over again in the command line. All right. So that's just the overview for what I'm going to do, which is copy a file. Now, if I wanted to do that in the what I just did in the command line, it's not particularly hard. Let's say I want to just create an empty file. I can create a document, I can create an empty file, and then I can rename it to test file. Not too bad. Okay, so if I want to do that, I want to copy it, rename it. This is move to another file. We'll just move it to another file. Boom, it'll make it that. And if I want to copy it, I can just go copy and paste. So if you're just talking about simple features, it's pretty easy to do those things on the GUI or the command line. And you know, if I was just creating a file, maybe I'd do it in the command line if I had that open, or maybe I'd do it in the GUI if it was open. It wouldn't make much difference. So I'm going to get rid of those. But it gets more complicated when you want to do things that they go beyond just simple copy and paste. Let's give another example. Let's say that I have, after I showed you that command, I have a whole bunch of different files in Origin here. And I just want to copy all the ones called PDF from this directory, there's thousands of them, up to this directory in Target, and I want to copy all those. Well, if I'm doing it on the GUI, the way I do it is I go into Origin, and I say, okay, well, I've got GIF, JPEG, MP4, and I just want my PDFs, so I need all those PDFs. Now, normally what you'd probably do is come to Arrange and go by type, but these types are all the same. They're empty files, so I can't do that. But I did create them all in temporally, so to speak, so I should be able to just hit the modification date, and that should have them all in order of when I created them. So now I should be able to just copy, and I keep doing that, but basically I have to come over here, and we can select all 1,000 files. Just scroll down. Now I'm down in the JPEGs now. This is pretty easy to do. Sometimes you just scroll. At least I do. I don't know if you guys do. I'm going to come down to PDF and get all the PDFs. If I got them all yet. PDF. Whoops. JPEG. There we go. I got them now. I've got a couple of JPEGs in there, but I think that's okay. We'll just right-click it, copy, go up, come into Target, and paste. That's not too bad. It's copying all my files, which are all empty, so there's nothing in them. Now I'm going to come down here to the 2 JPEGs because I only wanted to copy PDFs, so we want to get rid of those 2. But that's not a big deal. I'll just delete them. And it'll say, do you want to delete? I said, sure. Now, if I want to delete everything, that's not too bad in the thing. I just come up here and go select all files, and I hit delete. Oh, or delete, or if you just do it without using the shortcut, you can come here and delete, and it'll all delete them all. Okay. So now I'm back to empty, but I did my task. I copied all the PDFs. Now on the command line, what would I do? I type in copy, and you can see first off where I'm at. I go copy origin. So we're going to do origin, and then we got PDF, and we're going to copy to target. And we're going to look at target. Done. So honestly, both of these were pretty simple, but it was a little bit easier on the command line than it was in the GUI, for a couple reasons. One, highlighting 1,000 files is a little bit of a problem. Some GUIs it's a little easier than others, and I'm not saying that the experience is exactly the same in all of them, but that's kind of the problem. If you are using a different GUI in different environments, that experience may or may not be different, and you might find yourself fumbling in a different environment. But this is the same everywhere you go. That's exactly the same command. So the point is it can be very, very simple to use the command line for simple tasks. So this is a simple task. Okay. And as far as deleting them, it's about as easy in either one. I mean, basically, I'm just going to go to target, and we'll do that. And it'll ask me if I'm sure. This one has a sure option in ZSH. Some command lines don't give you that. But if you type in target, now you can see they're all gone again. Okay? So deleting is about the same, but copying a bunch of files with a particular extension is quite a bit easier. All right, now I'm going to go from the thing that is just easier on the command line to the thing that is possible on the command line that is kind of a pain in the butt in the GUI. And this is a very simple task. Let's say that I want to get a list of every single MP4 file that I have in Origin, and I want to make a text file, and then I want to send that to somebody via email. We won't worry about the email or anything, but that's why we're making the file. So I'm just saying let's just focus on the file making part. So if I go into Origin, I got a couple choices. I can either copy all the files or I can just sort them, and I have them already in PDF. So since I have in PDF, let's scroll down to MP4s. And I realize this isn't a very nice format for a list, so maybe I'll arrange the files by, oh wait, not arrange, but list view. List view is kind of nice, or maybe the compact view. So now it's more like a list. So this is probably better. So we just come down and we find the MP4 files. I'm scrolling to find them, or we could do a search. Is there a search on this? I don't know if this one has a search, but maybe you could do like a search to find it. But anyway, you're going to scroll down until you find your MP4. I'm just saying there's other ways to do it if you're in the right thing, and maybe the Windows one would be better. All right, there's MP4. So what my idea here is, since I don't have any other feature in this GUI to do it, I can just take these guys, and remember, I'm trying to stick to the GUI because the GUI is always easier to remember. So I could take I could do a screenshot of all these files, and then scroll down, do a screenshot of all those files, come on down, do a screenshot of all these files, come on down, do a screenshot of all these files, and just do that all the way through. So we could do that, but that's the process. Now, how would I do that same trick on the command line? Well, I would go ls again, which I've already shown you that command. At least I believe I did. If I didn't, you'd find it out pretty quick. And we're going to go Origin. And in this case, I've already done it once, so it already auto-completes for me. But I'm going to take the MP4, and I'm going to, let me describe the command for you so you know. ls, everything that's in Origin that ends in MP4. And this little character right here says send it to a file, basically. And it just says to overwrite whatever that file is. And we're going to overwrite that to downloads list.txt. Okay? You can also append, by the way, if you want to make, let's say that you want to make other lists. And I can show you that trick too. Let's say that I wanted all the MP4s and PDFs. Okay, we can do that easily too. But the downloads list, hit enter. Now if I cat downloads list text, those are all those four files. Now the other piece is what if I wanted to do all the PDFs as well? I just do this and do this, and that means concatenate it. Now if I open that file, because that way I can look at it and see if all of them are in there, then I would find I have all the MP4s and all the PDFs, and there's about 2,000 files, so I got them all. That's it. So very easily, in 10 some odd minutes, I have demonstrated that it is probably easier to do certain tasks on the command line than it is on a GUI, regardless of the GUI. And not only is it easier, but it is downright painful to do certain tasks on the GUI that are very, very easy on the command line. Again, I don't want people to come to the conclusion that I'm saying that everything is easier to do on the command line. There are lots of things that you'd probably rather do with some sort of GUI. For example, if you're manipulating 3D images, or you're doing graphics work, or now if you're just converting graphics from one format to another, probably easier on the command line. And I might show that in a later video. But if you're just manipulating graphics files, or manipulating sound files, or doing what I'm doing here, which is creating a video, those are all probably easier with a GUI, because there's lots of settings that you may or may not know, at least initially. And sometimes it might be faster to do it on the command line if you've got everything set up and you just want to record it. Or just do it. Sometimes that would be easier. But my point isn't that all things are easier on the command line. It's that many things are. So I think I've, ergo est demonstratum, I think I've demonstrated the fact. And so that's the end of my video. I probably make more of these, but I'm a complete amateur, and I don't plan on being anything but a pure amateur. So if you guys want to make fun of the video, that'd be grand. I'll try to improve over time. Well, maybe not. But in any case, that's one simple demonstration of how it is easier to do certain things on the command line than it is on a GUI.